here at Cambridge for the Grins, but there is plenty of good racing on tonight. Catching up with Nikki Chilcott. Firstly, Nikki, thank you very much for joining me.
Oh, you're welcome. I've watched plenty of your videos, so nice to catch you in person.
Well, yeah, we've got couple of little similarities too. We've found out since a little bit of a tie-in with Merv Butterworth and the likes. But just firstly, I suppose a little bit about yourself. How many horses do you train?
Oh, look, I promised myself about 5 years ago. I've, suffered quite a few injuries and that I was going to start taking it easy. And currently we've got about 30, so that just hasn't panned out. But look, that's not the long-term plan. I do want to sort of cut back, maybe just to about 15. But right at the moment, I think every trainer realises that sometimes you sort of got a few babies and they all sort of due back at the same time, and that's the way it's sort of worked out at the minute. But don't want to do that long-term. Way too hard to work.
Do you enjoy it? And I ask a lot of people this question, and everyone says, "Oh, they always say yes." But you want to cut back. You're not cutting back because you don't enjoy the game. You're just cutting back because of the workload. Is that one of the reasons? Yeah.
Look, I do love the game, and it would be lying if I said it wasn't a little challenging at the moment. We're going through some difficult times with various things, and every trainer knows what I'm talking about. So, but yeah, it is. Just with all the extra bits and pieces we've got to do now, and the welfare, and the day doesn't end when we walk out the stable door at night, and it's just all that paperwork, and you just never seem to get 5 minutes to yourself. So, it's a challenge. It's always been a long, hard job, and everyone in this game works really hard. But I don't know, maybe it's because I'm getting older. It seems to be getting harder, but look, I do love it. I wouldn't be here otherwise. None of us are millionaires. We don't make a big profit out of the game, and we're here because we love it. But I'd kind of like to start getting a life outside of this.
I always get in trouble asking this question. How young are you?
51, going on 72.
No, you're not. You're not at all. And you've been doing it all your life?
No, ironically enough, my parents, my dad owned a stud farm and he trained horses, and he didn't want me to do it. It was obviously a long time ago, and women were not really in the game. There was the odd one here and there, and we had amateur, what they used to call eye-lure derbies for the women that weren't proper races as such. So I went off to uni, and I was actually going to be a doctor. I did about 5 years at uni, and look, came out, and it just wasn't my passion. It wasn't what I wanted to do. So probably would be a whole lot wealthier right now if I had chosen my other career path. But look, the game's been really good to me. I've had some lovely horses along the way, and obviously met some really good people. So no, I probably was always destined to do this because it was my passion and my love, but it certainly wasn't the path that my parents wanted me to follow, that's for sure.
What did Dad say to you when you said after 4 and a bit years you're giving up being a doctor and you're going to be a horse trainer?
I bloody knew that it'd happen. Wasting money, Dad. Sorry.
One of the similarities we have, Karen Manning is my sister-in-law, and you train horses for Merv Butterworth, and we'll get onto one of those horses in a minute. But, of course, she is the most winningest female in the world. You're the most winningest female driver here in New Zealand. That's a nice little, I suppose, trophy to have on your mantle.
Yeah, it probably is. It's pretty cool. I've got a couple of very talented girls nipping at my heels at the moment. Sam Otley's obviously, she's just doing a great job and a very good driver. So she won't be far away from overtaking. And look, I've scaled back my driving now. I used to drive a lot, but injuries and stuff have sort of, I can't drive a full cart anymore, so I have just wound back. But no, it's certainly something I'm proud of, and I'll lose my mantle shortly, but I had it for a wee while anyway.
You keep it, don't worry about that. You can say you were the first female to get to 500. Are you impressed? Like I am, it's one of those things from afar. In Australia, we take it for granted the amount of lady drivers there are. I sort of took for granted there wasn't many in New Zealand until last year, and that when I started coming out. And it's not just the lady drivers, the amount, but it's the quality and the way they represent themselves, the industry, and then their driving talents on the track. Are you impressed by the wave of young girls coming through?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, it's thoroughbreds have always been a big incentive for females because I guess naturally they're a lot lighter, and certainly we haven't had a lot of girls in harness racing. The reason why that's changed, I'm not sure, but look, it's great. I think the females add a different different dynamic to the driving, that possibly not as aggressive, but sometimes horses respond a little bit better to that. But certainly for me, it's great. It's good. Right at the moment, my whole team are females, and I just love it. You know, we get on really good, and a lot of people say having all girls work, you know, how does that work? But look, honestly, we're a good team, and the horses respond well. You know, the girls just love the horses, and you know, it's great. I think it's fantastic.
I've been here to a few of the stables. It's a very female-dominated area down here at the back, around the back stables of Cambridge, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, nothing wrong with that.
No, definitely not. And if you young men want to get into horses, this is the right place to come, I can tell you that for sure. I'll get into trouble. You said there before you got 30 in work, you got one in. How many you got in tonight?
Yeah, we've got 5 runners tonight. Sacred Mountain, obviously, in the Waikato Times Flying Mile. So that's really cool. We've got no open class paces at the moment, so not an opportunity to have a horse in the big race. But yeah, we've got a couple that are looking pretty promising at the moment that have just sort of come through the younger brigade. And yeah, I'm hoping that maybe, in a year or two's time we'll be there.
Sacred Mountain tonight, drawn the poles. It's a strong field. It's a bit of a step up in class with a couple of those horses, but will it acquit herself well?
Look, I don't know, to be honest with you. I just thought she's been racing really good. She set a 2200 metre national record a couple of starts back, which was taken away from her the following week by Tony Herlihy's lovely mare and Double Delight. So, look, I just felt it was the good opportunity to give her a chance against the better ones. I hope she steps up, but I guess at the end of the day, you just never really know until you front up and you know, take them on. So one's going to help. She does get out the gate pretty good, but she can the odd time miss it too. So, yeah, I better put my hands on and not my feet tonight and hopefully get around.
I was going to say that can be a driver's issue, but when you're the trainer and the driver, that can be a bigger issue as well. What about for the rest of the stable? What have we got up and coming wise for people at home to follow?
Yeah, look, I had a horse last year who really surprised me. I actually didn't think he was much chop, and he went out and won 5 of 8, and so, yeah, shows you what a good judge I am. But, look, he looked very promising last campaign. A horse called Village Rebel was a big raging bull, 3-year-old. You know, very weak and very immature and just did an outstanding job. So he's had a good spell. He's due back in the barn at the end of the month. So, yeah, with natural improvement and strength, you know, I could see him going on and doing a good job. And Blazing Louis was a lovely 3-year-old from last year. He won the Northern Stakes up at Auckland and bet a fairly handy field up there. Actually beat Nicholas Cage, and he's in the slot race tonight. So, you know, he's franked some pretty good form, but he's definitely a horse to watch too. He's, his head... He's been keeping his head in the right place. It's been the most tricky thing. But, yeah, I'm hoping that we've done the right thing for him as a young horse, and hopefully that stands by him. So definitely Blazing Louis and Village Rebel.
It can be a hard game over here, and, you know, lots get said about finding the right races. Sacred Mountain tonight, you got a condition, and that's one of the I suppose the battles you guys have. But when you see a horse like Nicholas Cage, and even Anna's horse can go, like I said to her, like, you know, I was down there at Kaikoura when he won the Kaikoura Cup, and that was probably his first announcement. Like, that's not quite 12 months ago when he won that. You know, like, and they can come on. So it is interesting how those horses can take that next step and become very, very good horses. Sometimes you just got to sit a year and just not so much make up the numbers, but just condition them to the racing. Yeah,
well, that's dead right. You know, I didn't have options with Sacred Mountain tonight. She has a rating 71, and the next trot down was up to 69. So, you know, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to throw her in the deep end at some point. It might as well be at home over a mile. She is probably a little bit of a short course horse at the moment, so it sort of ticked every box as a race. But you're right, you know, a lot of horses do take a wee while and sometimes a year to, you know, you come out of age group racing or even rating grade racing, whereas, you know, Village Rebel's a prime example. He's had 8 starts, and on his 8th start he raced Copy That. You know, that's just insane. But unfortunately, our pool of horses isn't big enough to, you know, if you win too many in a row, you just get up the grade. So you can't hide. You either got to sell them or throw them in the deep end, and yeah, that's just the way it is. Keep them here in New Zealand. Keep racing them. That's the one thing I will say. Australia need to do the same thing. I know it's easy for me to say because I don't have to pay the bills and everything else. But from an industry point of view, that's, I think, the one thing that we've got to do on both sides of the ditch. I mean, you know, I get people tell me, you know, the Australia, oh, you guys are lucky in Australia. There is a similar problem in Australia with those horses that get through their grades quickly because those fast class horses either drop by the wayside, so you've got to make up the numbers, and it's a cruel little twist, but it is indeed. Nick, thank you very much for joining me.
Congratulations on everything you've done. Good luck tonight. Hopefully you can get the chockies and have a nice little sleep. Can you win another race? You said you got 5 overs. Are you driving any of the others?
Yeah, we've got 2 in the trot early on and 2 in a later pace. But, I thought Del Shannon, he's been racing honest enough and just probably hasn't got a lot of luck in his last couple. So he can definitely fill a slot anyway. And a couple of mares later on in race 6, I think it is. They're both racing really good. So once again, there's big fields and we're all giving it plenty with the big stakes up tonight. But I think Mahia Dreaming, she's probably a good each-way chance as well.
You're apt to have such a big race in Cambridge, like on your back doorstep. It's super. It's not a major metropolitan track. I think it's just a great effort.
Oh, look, it's amazing. And, every accolade has got to go to Dave Branch and his team. Just fantastic. They got rubbished for doing this the first year and a lot of people said it won't work and look, him and his team backed himself and it has worked and it's worked in spades. And look, the atmosphere around this place in the last sort of week or 10 days is just great to be a part of, and it makes you realise, hey, that's why we do this, because it's bloody cool.
And it's a beautiful day, sunshine. So anyone that's watching this and they're thinking about coming, make sure you come. It's going to be a ripping night. Nick, thank you. Good to catch up with you, and thank you very much for giving me 5 minutes of your time, and keep knocking out the winners and keep driving. Don't worry about your age. You're only 21. It's only as old as you feel, so 21 is all you are, so you'll be fine. Just keep going.
Oh dear, doesn't feel like that when I wake up in the morning, but hey, thanks mate. Yeah, it was really good. Nice to actually meet you, and keep up the good work.
Thank you.